Hi there, and welcome to the Best of Both Worlds, sponsored by Gammill Quilting Machine Company. We're so grateful that you're here today, and you're not going to want to miss this show. Georgia Stull is here with a fabulous idea. It's an exciting day always when Georgia is here. Thank you for coming, Georgia.
Thank you.
And she has brought a couple of beautiful little projects that we're all going to want to do. So do you want to tell us about what we're doing today?
I will. I love crafting. Couldn't give it up even after I started quilting. And so, of course, I have to think of ways to do crafting with my quilting machine.
And we like that.
And I have grandchildren, and I started thinking, wonder if I could make some game boards. Turns out I can. So I made a tic-tac-toe game.
Oh.
And I have the various pieces and a checkerboard. And it's really easy when you're done. You can just wrap it up and see how it just stores real nicely. You can throw it in the car, have it real easy. And I'm going to show you how to make those today.
Well, we're really excited, so let's get started.
All right.
So it looks like we are working with felt today.
We are, and you know, the neat thing is we can use a lot of different fabrics. The nice thing about felt is it really doesn't ravel, so we don't have to do the edge stitching unless we'd like to create a frame. I did learn there are different types of felt. This happens to be a thinner felt. This gray is actually a thicker felt.
Yeah,
so
that's nice and heavy.
I found that stitching on the thinner felt was okay, but it needed the stability of the heavier felt. So it kind of worked out all right. I'll do the game board and game pieces on the lighter, and then we will cut that out and move it to the heavier fabric and stitch it down and give it a little bit more stability, but it also makes it more colorful, so it was a win-win.
Awesome. Okay, and then you're going to show us what we can do on the...
Exactly, how to get started on the machine. Now I'm going to show you a very easy way to create your tic-tac-toe board. What I'm going to do is select the good old geometric square. It's in your Statler Stitcher DXF files. I select the pattern. I select repeat patterns. Once I do that, I go into the height and I change the height to 4 inches. It will automatically change the width to 4 inches. Now, if you remember, a tic-tac-toe board has 3 boxes across and 3 boxes down. And just like that, click OK. There we go. We now have a tic-tac-toe board, and I'm ready to put it into position on the piece of felt that I have. Once I get the 9 patterns together, I can right-click and combine the patterns into one, and I can actually save the pattern, export it to a CSQ, and all I would have to do is give it a name, tic-tac-toe. Say save, and now it's at the beginning, and there it is. But I need to tell it exactly where I want it to be. I've left the head in the exact place it needs to be. I want to select the pattern, right-click, relocate. Relocate, shift selected to one point. The point I know that I want to move, I'm going to take that grid point snap off. The point I want is this little corner right here. And it says click yes when the machine head is at the same point on the quilt. And I have it in that position, yes. And just like that, it's ready to stitch. And I can hit the stitch button, and we're ready to go. Each square is going to stitch out individually, but that's not a bad thing because it will give you greater definition between the boxes. One row down, 2 more to go. And just like that, we have our tic-tac-toe board all stitched out. And before we cut this out to put this piece onto the gray, we want to create our playing pieces. And traditionally, our playing pieces are X's and O's. So I'm going to create those using the text feature of Creative Studio. It's time to create the pieces that we need for playing pieces. And I like using the text feature that we have in Creative Studio. If you simply right-click on the open CAD screen, you see that there's text property. Well, the first piece is an X. I'm going to actually put Shift so I can get a capital X. You choose Place Text, and you'll get a little message box. My favorite font to use is Comic Sans, so I'm going to put COM, and you see that brings it right to the top. And I choose bold because I want the piece to be big, and I say OK. It may not be the exact size. Now note that we have thickened up our lines in here, and that's why it looks so big. It's not actually that big of a stitching line, but I can choose the pattern, and if I look over to the left side, I can see exactly the size of my pattern piece. Well, if my square, my playing square is 4 inches, I think I probably want this to be about 3 inches. And, well, we need the other dimension. And now we have a 3-inch square, but I will need more than one playing piece. So let's multiply that. Let's actually save that, export it to a CSQ. And once again, we just have to give it a name. And it saves it. It goes to the top. We can go ahead and delete this one because now I'm going to choose repeat patterns, and I need 5 playing pieces, so I simply need 5 repeats. And OK, and there they are in a row, except, you know, that's a little close together for me to cut that out. Let's do that again. Let's choose the repeat patterns, choose the pattern piece, choose repeat patterns, and this time I want the 5 repeats. But before I do that, let's put in some horizontal, and let's give it a 1/2 inch separation. And now put in 5 repeats. And just like that, we have our 5 pattern pieces, and they're ready to stitch. All I have to do is choose the patterns, relocate, and shift all to one point. And click this upper left corner. If the machine head is where you need it to be, you click yes, and it's ready to go, ready to hit stitch. The pattern pieces are in the right place, so all I need to do is go to my stitch icon, hit select, allow it to go to the right place, pull up that bobbin thread, and just like that, I will be stitching out my pattern pieces. I didn't base this on, I didn't pin it on. If it makes you more comfortable, feel free to do that, but I tend to be just float as I go kind of person, and don't worry about it. Pull it up. If you wanted to have it drag a thread rather than stop at each individual one, you could grab all the X's. I'm only going to grab the X's that haven't stitched, and right-click, go down that right-click menu to combine patterns. Now they are connected, so when I hit stitch, they will drag threads in between. And now we have the X game board pieces, and it's time to create the O game pieces. We have created the game board and created the game pieces, and simply cut them out. That's all we've done, X's, O's, and a game board. And we don't need to attach the game pieces, but we do need to attach the game board. And I'm attaching it to a heavier felt just to give it a little more stability. And we can accomplish that very easily using point-to-point line. If you go across the screen till you get to the little target.
Bullseye.
Bullseye, whatever you want to call it. We all have different names. And I select that, and I can tell that it's online. And I simply go to each of the four corners of my game board, click 1, click 2, click 3. You know, all of these clicks have different sounds. Hear that? And when I go to the last one, I click again and I click stop. All I have to do is choose the upper right corner and the upper lower corner at the same time, and it takes me out of point-to-point line mode.
Okay.
And now I just need to go to quilt. I went too far. Do you know if you push on the bottom button in the middle, you can go backwards instead of going all the way cycling around
Oh, that's
again.
convenient, instead of going through that again.
Exactly. How many times do I used to do that? So I'm going to choose select, and the machine is going to stitch. If you want, you could have pinned this game board on. I tend not to do that, but it's okay. I can actually make adjustments if I really feel like I need to while it's stitching. That's kind of low. You know, the default on point-to-point line is actually low because a lot of people will use it for stitching in the ditch.
Yeah, in that case, you'd need to manipulate the fabric a little bit.
And we don't need to for a game like this, so I can up the pattern, the stitching line. Woo, we kind of got that one a little short there. It's okay.
Not going to affect it.
Nope. Speed it up a little. If you were using a fabric other than felt, something that would ravel, you would probably want to put the multiple borders around it, multiple lines of stitching. That way it wouldn't ravel.
This is so easy, and it's such a fun little project.
Yeah,
that
and felt is very
works
inexpensive. And just like that. So the game board is attached.
This is so a wonderful project, too, for our freehand. I mean, there isn't anything here that we couldn't do freehand. Why don't we put those pockets on freehand?
All right.
Let's do that. Let's just go into our regulated mode. So we'll push stop and just go over to our regulated and
select.
So this is our pocket. And I'm just going to go, you could also do, whoa, that is really
large. I had it in based. We need to go over here. Let's change that to 14 instead of 4 stitches per inch. There we go.
There we go. And we'll just come down. I'm not using channel locks or anything. I'm just
using the edge.
Yeah, the machine just wants to do it, you know. And then I come up here, I'll just come back like that. And now, Georgia, you get to do some freehand too.
I'll do that.
Yay, I don't know where the scissors are.
The scissors are, here we go. Work cooperatively.
Those are cute, yes. Here she goes. Freehand, Georgia Stull.
You thought
We've got
it
it on
happen.
film.
Pull up that thread. Start. I actually do some freehand. Not a lot. I promise you I don't, but I can do it. And I use the edge of my hopping foot to take me up there.
There we go.
There we go.
This is really fun. Let's just talk about the other game so we'll know about that. And also that you've digitized all of this so that you don't have to do this. She's giving you this pattern, but it's a good process to go through if you have a Statler.
It really is.
Go through all of this and learn
it helps you learn to use the tools that you have. But I created CSQs, which means I used simple patterns like a geo-square or draw arc, draw a line, and created actually the pattern pieces for tic-tac-toe and for a checkerboard. And I just thought it was fun. And actually, believe it or not, I created the patterns in probably 15 minutes.
Wow.
It wasn't hard at all. Once you get the feel for it, I think it just gets you started with, ooh,
I
wonder
can do
what else
this.
I could do.
Yes, what else can we do?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, then we'll all have lots of games. I can see these in like our motorhome or, you know, our trailer where maybe the electronics aren't working. Yay!
Yeah.
So that the kids will actually
Get a break from
do
that.
A game.
That's right.
So let's talk about the other game as well and
All right.
show that.
Here is the checkerboard that I created, and you'll notice I just used one piece of flannel felt, but what I did is put a design inside every other square that gives the illusion of the dark square. I didn't want to, you know, piece felt.
Oh,
Not happening. And so I created the checkers, and you notice I kept thinking, how am I going to crown a checker? Because I didn't think two pieces laying on, nah, that wasn't going to work. So what I ended up doing is realizing that if it gets crowned, it can simply be turned
over
to the other side. You can still tell it's a yellow checker, but with it being orange, you can tell it's crowned. And so I will give you a little hint. If you're going to make these kind of game pieces, make some extras. Doesn't take much to make 5 extras, but kids tend to lose things. And then I, once again, made a little pocket, and I'm able to store the pieces in. This one, by making a cloth pocket, it will roll up real nicely, take a piece of salvage ribbon and tie it on, and you have a checkerboard. And we can bring checkers back. How about that?
This is just awesome. I am absolutely gonna do this, and thank you for sharing the pattern with us.
Oh, I'm happy to. It
We
took
really
no time at all.
appreciate that because, I mean, she's done all the work. We might as well benefit from it. And thank you so much for joining us today. I bet you're happy that you did. I know I am. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Georgia, again for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now Georgia and I are going to play a game of checkers.